So, hello and welcome everybody to week 35 of A Course in Miracles. So, every week, y'all, I say I am excited and I am excited. Tonight, we have an amazing lesson, Course in the Miracles lesson for us. So, let's get into it. So, lesson number 35 of A Course in Miracles says, my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. So, in this lesson, Jesus says the idea for today presents a very different view of yourself by establishing your source. It establishes your identity and it describes you as you must really be in truth. We will use a somewhat different kind of application for today's idea. Jesus says, because the emphasis for today is on the perceiver rather than on what he or she perceives, meaning that the emphasis is on us, y'all. And I'm very excited about this. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. In this lesson, Jesus not only describes us as holy, but Jesus describes us as very holy, indicating that because we have our connection with our source, we are, the truth of who we are is very holy. It's just who we are. Breathe in that, absorb that, repeat those words to yourself for a moment. I am very holy. Blow away and dismiss those things that you define yourself as if they are lower than this identity. Holiness, y'all, is the truth of who you are, the truth of who we are. Since birth, we have been told that we are sinners, that we should be seen and not heard. We've been taught to override our internal guidance system. Since birth, we have been taught how to be small and how to be limited. We have not heard of our personal power. Quite the opposite. We've been led to believe that we are separate from God, that our worth is attached to our bank accounts and our possessions, our assets, and our belongings. As a matter of fact, our whole financial system in this dimension is based on how many numbers we have on the computer screen or how many assets we have. And this kind of system, y'all, strips us away from our power. It sums up our value based upon third dimensional structures. There are other dimensions in the universe that values beings based on the intrinsic qualities they possess, such as integrity, personal responsibility, and ingenuity. We are moving into a dimension that will mimic this kind of value system. But we don't have to wait until that reality is demonstrated in our physical world. We don't have to wait on that. Step into the truth of who you are right now. You are holy in this moment. You are as God created you. You are as God created you. Last week, we talked about social conditioning And we are going to continue that conversation this evening as we break free from the limitations of this realm, of this dimension. Let's create right now, y'all. Let's create in this moment by understanding and accepting that we are very holy. Have you ever heard of yourself being defined as holy? Ever? Prior to my introduction to spirituality, I have never known myself as being holy. That is the beauty of the truth of who we are. We are sons and daughters of God, all of us, every single one of us. Those of us who are hearing this video and those of us who will not. Those of us who are aware of our divinity and those of us who are not. The most difficult of personalities that we have, the most egoic identified of us. We are all descendants of God, our one true source, all of us. So God does not favor one over the other. God does not love one and judge the other. We all have a purpose for being here, and we are all courageous beings of light. So this statement, y'all, this statement, my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. Our initial shock when we hear this statement, the level of difficulty we are having in integrating this truth shows how much we have all been limited to a very small experience of who we are. The fact that we are having a hard time accepting that we are very holy demonstrates to us that we do not know our power, which is why I repeat it every single week, because it is our truth, our inheritance as being the sons and daughters of God. We behave, y'all, within the confines of the structures that we were born in and have subconsciously accepted the roles and perceived realities that we have been shown. Let's start living in our individual and collective truth. Let's think, speak, and act according to our holiness. Let's raise our children to live in their truth according to their holiness. Let's open ourselves to the reality of our extraterrestrial families. Do we think that this is our only lifetime? Not at all. We have had, are having many lifetimes in this incredible moment of now. Perceive your strength and your power, and every moment refuse to accept the conditioned perception of yourself. You are not small. You are not small. Many of us struggle to live in this realm. Those of us who struggle to feel comfortable here, who have always felt different than everyone else, who may even struggle with feeling like you don't want to be here, consider that you may not be from this planet. Consider that you are not alone in how you feel. This is a shared experience. Many of us feel as you do. Many of us have felt as you do. Those of you who feel like this, your origins are often extraterrestrial. Your body is a costume that you wear. In fact, our bodies are just a costume for all of us. We are light beings. Our bodies are not who we are. It is our choice of form in this lifetime, but it is not who we are. And you have volunteered to come here at this time to share your gifts with others at this incredible time on Gaia. And consider the essence of this statement. You yearn for home. All you beautiful beings of light, you yearn for your home. But check this out. You are here only for a little while. And while you are here, decide to step into your power and manifest from that space. And you will begin to create a happy dream. How do we start to do that? How do we live in our holiness? Let's start by paying attention to our thoughts and throw away all negative thoughts we have. And Conversations with God, Book 1, and I encourage everyone to at least get Book 1 or listen to the audio book. There is a free audio recording on YouTube of Book 1, absolutely free. But this book teaches us everything we need to know about God and ourselves. It gives us a solid foundation. The last time I checked on Amazon, the book is about $20 brand new, but they have used ones for like $1 or $2 plus shipping, right? So you can also get the whole trilogy, which is books 1 through 3, Conversations with God, for about $25. So that's my personal, public service announcement for Conversations with God, because it will give you life. So I encourage everyone to get it if you can. So on pages 91 through 92, God starts talking to Neale. He starts sharing with Neale the 10 steps of creation, which I could not bring myself to omit, even though it's more than what I wanted, the point that I wanted to make this evening, but I just could not bring myself to omit it because it is so important, y'all. So I'm going to quickly scan through the 10 steps of creation on page 91 of not a Course in Miracles, of Conversations with God, Book 1. So page 91 says, so God says, life is a creation, not a discovery. You do not live each day to discover what it holds for you, but to create it. You are creating your reality every minute, probably without knowing it, God says. So he says, here's why that is so and how that works. So here are the 10 steps, y'all. The first step is, I have created you in the image and likeness of God. And we've talked about this, that we've been created in the image and likeness of God. Step 2 is, God is the creator. God is the creator. Step 3 is, you are 3 beings in one. He said, you can call these 3 aspects of being. He said, Father, Son, or Daughter, and Holy Ghost, mind, body, and spirit, superconscious, conscious, and subconscious. So we're 3 beings in one. Step 4, God says, creation is a process that proceeds from these 3 parts of your body. He says, put another way, you create at 3 levels: thought, word, and deed. Step 5 says, all creation begins with thought, right? And we've talked about this, how it starts with the thought. And so God actually references Bible verses with each point he's making. So he says, all creation begins with thought. Then he says, proceeds from the Father. Then he says, all creation then moves to word. Ask and you shall receive. Speak and it shall be done unto you. And then he says, all creation is fulfilled in deed, which is action. And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us. Step 6 says, that which you think of, but thereafter never speak of, creates at one level. Then he says, that which you think of and speak of, creates at another level. And finally, that which you think, speak, and do becomes made manifest in your reality. 7, he says, to think, speak, and do something which you do not truly believe is impossible. So God is saying, if you think something, you speak it, and you do it, you can't say that you really don't believe that which you have thought, spoken, and done. He said it's impossible. He says, therefore, the process of creation must include belief or knowing. This is absolute faith. Then he says, this is beyond hoping. This is knowing of a certainty. And then step 8, he says, this place of knowing is a place of intense and incredible gratitude. It is a thankfulness in advance. And that perhaps is the biggest key to creation, to be grateful before and for the creation. Such taking for granted is not only condoned, but encouraged. Step 9, he says, celebrate and enjoy all that you have created. To reject any part of it is to reject a part of yourself. To reject any part of your creation is to reject a part of yourself. He says, whatever it is that is now presenting itself as part of your creation, own it, claim it, bless it, be thankful for it, seek not to condemn it. And then God has in parentheses, God damn it. Why does he say that? I'm not trying to be profane, but the book says that because God is demonstrating to us how we reject what we have created. If you have created something and you say, God damn it, you are rejecting that which you have created. God says, do not do that. He says, for to condemn it is to condemn yourself. And finally, step 10 says, if there is some aspect of creation you find that you do not enjoy, bless it and simply change it. Choose again, call forth a new reality, think a new thought, say a new word, do a new thing. He says, do this magnificently, and the rest of the world will follow you. Ask it to, call for it to. He says, say, I am the life and the way. Follow me. This is how to manifest God's will on earth as it is in heaven. So these are the 10 steps of creation. In step 10, where God was saying, if you find that you've created something that you do not like, simply create again. That reminds me of another video that we talked about that's titled Experience God with No Filters. So if you haven't seen that video, it's on this channel as well. And it's the story of David when he meets with the shaman, and the shaman tells him, if you've created something that you do not enjoy, simply create again. And how do you do that? Through your thoughts, through your speech, and through your actions. We have the ability to recreate our realities. So, okay, so God goes through those 10 steps, right? So now God starts talking about throwing away your negative thoughts. So on page 92, so after God talks about the 10 steps, Neale says, if it is as simple as that, if these 10 steps are all we need, why does it not work that way for more of us? Why don't more of us just get what we want like that? And so God says it does work that way for all of you. He says some of you are using the system consciously with full awareness, and some of you are using it unconsciously without even knowing what you are doing. Some of you are walking in wakefulness, and some of you are sleepwalking. He says, yet all of you are creating your reality, creating, not discovering, using the power I have given you and the process I've just described. So when you've asked when your life will take off, and I've given you the answer. You've asked that and I've given you the answer. God says you get your life to take off by first becoming very clear in your thinking about. Think about what you want to be, do, and have. He says, think about it often until you are very clear about this. Then when you are very clear, think about nothing else. God says, imagine no other possibility. So, I give the example of if you have a goal in mind, if you have something that your heart desires, if you want to own a home, if you want to write a book, or, if there are things that you choose that would give you joy, he says, think about that and think about nothing else. Don't allow any negative thought processes, anything that will negate that from happening. He says, stick to that. So he says, imagine no other possibilities. He says, throw away all negative thoughts out of your mental constructions. Lose all pessimism. Release all doubts. Reject all fears. Discipline your mind to hold fast to the original creative thoughts. He says, when your thoughts are clear and steadfast, begin to speak them as truths. Say them out loud, God says. Use the great command that calls forth creative power. What great command is that, y'all? I am. He says, make I am statements to others. I am, God says, is the strongest creative statement in the universe. Whatever you think, whatever you say, after the words I am sets into motion those experiences, calls them forth, brings them to you. There is no other way the universe knows how to work. There is no other route it knows to take. Check this out. God says the universe responds to I am as would a genie in a bottle. So Neale says, you say release all doubts, reject all fears, lose all pessimism, as if you're saying, pick me up a loaf of bread. But these things are easier said than done. Throw all negative thoughts out of your mental constructions. Might as well read, climb Mount Everest before lunch. It's rather a large order. And so that's what Neale says. And so God says, harnessing your thoughts, exercising control over them is not as difficult as it might seem. Neither, for that matter, is climbing Mount Everest. He says it is all a matter of discipline. It is a question of intent. The first step is learning to monitor your thoughts, to think about what you are thinking about. He says, when you catch yourself thinking negative thoughts, thoughts that negate your highest idea about a thing, think again. Think again. I want you to do this literally. He says, if you think you are in a doldrum, in a pickle, and no good can come of this, think again. If you think the world is a bad place, filled with negative events, think again. If you think your life is falling apart and it looks as if you'll never get it back together again, think again. You can train yourself to do this, God says. Look how well you've trained yourself not to do it. So Neale says, thank you. He says, I've never had the process set out for me so clearly. I wish it were as easily done as said, but now I at least understand it clearly, I think. And God says, well, if you need a review, we have several lifetimes. So, so right here, we hear God tell us the importance of I am statements. Remember, everyone, we are God. We say that, but we still don't believe it or understand how that is manifested. So God is reminding us of our creative power. He tells Neale that the universe is like a genie in the bottle and responds to our speech immediately. So we have talked about this before, and it is worth repeating to be very intentional, everyone, about what we say, especially what you say after the words, I am. Do not say, I am tired. You are not tired. You are God. If we wish to communicate that we experience exhaustion or fatigue, say, I feel tired, or my body is exhausted right now. I usually say, look, the spirit is willing, but the body is weak. But do not say, I am tired. Even worse is to say the words, I am angry. We are not angry. We are not anger. Our brother Jesus just told us we are very holy. We are love. We are God. You can say right now, I need a minute. I feel angry. But do not say, I am angry. And I know this sounds foreign, but think about how all our lives, y'all, we have been speaking these commands to the universe. Think about that. This kind of language has been incredibly counterproductive to the experience we wish to have. No wonder many of us have been miscreating so much. So get this, y'all. So get this. I was working on this lesson, right? And I realized Conversations with God was talking about the importance of I am statements. Then I happened to notice that the Course in Miracles lesson today says, I am very holy. So then I'm like, oh my gosh, like the synchronicities, right? And then something said, look at the time. And I looked at the time and it was 11 minutes after the hour. And 11 is like the spiritual number I see all of the time. So y'all, this is like fifth dimensional stuff. This is fifth dimensional stuff. I love it. But this is that important. This is that important. These nuggets of truth that God is imparting to us in Conversations with God are priceless gems. Imagine if we learned this as little children. This is worth including in the school curriculum. Let's start incorporating these principles in our daily lives right now and teach these to our children. See how fast you can create something new. You will be astounded if you were very intentional about your thoughts in your speech and your actions. If we all became very intentional about what we created and understood the power of our thoughts and our words and our actions, we would create differently indeed. Let's live differently, y'all. Let's live differently. We cannot model our behavior based on the leadership of the world. The world we see is run by the ego. And as Jesus has said, the ego knows nothing. I often listen to Tina Spalding's page, the woman who channels Jesus in a group of high vibrational spirits called Ananda. And I have heard them say that in terms of spiritual evolution and spiritual education, we are as kindergartners. They said we are on the level of kindergartners. Now, they said we are as cute as kindergartners are as well, but we simply do not know our power and our beauty. Why is this? Why, in terms of our spiritual evolution, we are still in kindergarten? Because many of the wonderful truths of who we are have been hidden from us. So much conditioning has been put on us. So much information has been hidden from us. So much so that our free will was actually starting to be taken away from us. That's how heavy the conditioning has been. And this is why we now have so much interaction from high vibrational spirits. This is why they are communicating so much with us, because we have purposely been kept in the dark for many, many lifetimes here on this planet. So we are not in elementary school. We're not in middle school, y'all. We are in kindergarten. Like, absorb that. We've been kept in the dark about basic truths, such as our ability to create. How do we create? And our ability to create that which we choose. We've been kept in the dark about the presence of our extraterrestrial families and the fact that we are all one. So that which we do to another, we actually do to ourselves. We don't understand that. And even that we are very holy. And the most important information that many of us are unaware of is the fact that we are absolutely unconditionally loved by God with no judgment. Many of us do not believe that. We are afraid to believe that God loves us that much. You are unconditionally loved. God has been trying to reach you to give you the highest experience. Pain and fear do not have to be a part of your experience. Feel this in your heart. Allow the cells of your body to integrate this. Repeat it to yourself often. God loves you unconditionally. Why do you think the powers that be have gone through so many great strains to tell us the opposite? It's a reason for that. Talking about this at length was not in my original plan today, but God wanted me to camp out on this for everyone. Feel his love. Feel her presence. You are unconditionally loved by God. If you don't get anything else, please grasp that. This is basic foundational information, y'all. We have been kept ignorant so much that when we hear new information, we label it as wrong. There are people, when they hear me talk about extraterrestrial beings, are going to reject it and say that it is wrong. But that's how much we've been kept ignorant of basic truths. Basic truths. We have been lied to so much that the truth sounds like a lie. We have been in this small box for so long that we are afraid to break free from the confines of our walls. These high vibrational beings say we are as beautiful, wild, caged animals who have been domesticated and therefore have forgotten our true nature. We have the ability to easily break open these cages, but we have forgotten who we are. We have forgotten who we are. This right here, everyone, is the process of remembering. This right here, what we're doing right here, reading A Course in Miracles, reading Conversations with God, reading Jesus, my autobiography, reading The Power of Now, all these wonderful books, all this sourced information, we are in the process right now of waking up. Not only that, but meditating, praying, being kind to another. There's not only one way to wake up to that which we are. And think about this. Think about this. Since we are like kindergartners, consider that we may be teaching our children the same erroneous information that has been taught to us. Consider that. Consider that our children may very well know much more than we do. They have not undergone the many, many years of conditioning that we have, the 20, 30, 40, 50 years of conditioning. They are fresh from heaven, right? For example, we have been taught to judge everything. We're taught to judge things as right or wrong, good or bad, or even better or best. This constant judging and labeling is learned behavior. So when we have children very early in their formative years, we are quick to push our labels on them. So everything they see, we give them a name for it. We have our children label everything. This is a chair. That is a tree. That right there, that's called dog. This is a dog. And if they adopt and repeat our symbols, our labels, we get very excited and call this intelligence. Oh my goodness, she already knows that that is a tree. She is so smart. She is so intelligent. But having your beautiful child who is a clean slate label that which we call tree, a tree, what does that tell that child? What does that label provide for them? What does it tell your child about the essence of that massive being we call a tree? Giving it that name doesn't tell him or her anything. What if your child perceives a tree as something higher than the conditioning understanding of a tree? What if they perceive that tree as something higher than the conditioned understanding of a tree? What if he or she can actually feel the essence of that living being as something that imparts information to us all? Would we recognize that as intelligence? Imagine for a moment, y'all. Okay, imagine for a moment that a parent takes their young child to the park. I mean, and I'm talking about young. And the child touches a tree. And that tree tells that child their true name telepathically. And the child repeats that name, which of course would not be the word tree, right? It'll be something else. Many times that parent will go crazy trying so hard to correct their child by repeating this word tree. No, that's a tree. That's a tree. That's not called, that's a tree. But the child is trying to convey to the parent the true name that the energy of that tree holds. This parent, out of their ignorance, would be so busy trying to correct and teach that they will miss the opportunity to learn from their little one. Not only that, but they will be pushing their child's own intuitive impressions out of its awareness, like many parents do unconsciously. I'm not saying do not educate our children. Of course, eventually, they're going to use the language and names we use. But try to refrain from pushing these names and symbols on them too early. You can ask, what do you feel from that as a child perceives a tree? Or better yet, allow the child to explore the world without the need to label and define, without the need for symbols and names. Allow them to feel what they are engaging with. The Bible says, and the children will lead. Let the children lead. Let the children lead. Consider that your child has things to impart to you. Do not deny their connection with spirit. Do not deny their connection with spirit. I did this with my teenage children, my teenage son and daughter. Late in the night a few weeks ago, we went out walking, and I asked them if they could touch the trees with me as we walked. My children have gotten used to my odd requests by now. So we were out there looking at the stars and the moon, touching the trees, and they tolerated me for about 45 minutes doing this. But it's moments like these that will open them up to their connection with their own spirit. Now is the time to live in our truth. All of it. Live now as if you are in the fifth dimension, because many of us already are. Do not wait until the world catches up. You are very holy. You are very holy. I love you all. I love you all. And now I would like to ask, when you hear the words, I am very holy, what is your first impressions? What are the first impressions that comes to you when you hear those words? I am very holy. When I first heard this, I thought, wow, I am very holy. I thought about the word holy. I thought of innocence. I thought of purity. I thought of beauty. And I thought, wow, Jesus says, I am very holy. And it is an adjustment to integrate that into your psyche. But I know that it is true. So that's my lesson, y'all. I love y'all so much.
Hi, can I say something,
Yeah.
Loretta?
Hi, Margaret. Yes.
Hi. When you asked me, you text me the question and I pondered on it. In fact, I was completely taken aback. I'm like, you are very holy. It's like, I took my grandchildren to the park and I was like pondering this question. You are very holy. And I said, God, what does this mean to me? What is, and I said, I felt comfort.
Yes.
Secure. Okay, I am holy. I feel secure in that word.
Yes.
Secure.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Margaret.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That is our truth. We are not only holy, but very holy.
Very holy.
So thank you. And it's now 7:30. I'm gonna close out. I love y'all so much. Brittany says, beautiful class. Thank you, Purple Heart. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Brittany.